What if Scott and I told you that you can do spherification and make tons of spheres with very little effort and even less time?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to do a review of the Spherificator and make two great recipes. A Cosmopolitan cocktail you can make in front of your guests, and a Shallot sphere that you can put on any hors d'oeuvre. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, the owner of Modernist Pantry. Today, Scott and I are really excited to be reviewing the new and improved Spherificator, which, as the name implies, is a tool that will enable you to do spherification really quickly and easily. So we're super excited to see whether this particular gadget is going to live up to its name.
So I have played around with the Spherificator a little bit, and it's great. And I'm going to give a quick overview for those who may not know what spherification is.
Okay.
Spherification is I take a flavorful liquid and I add an ingredient called sodium alginate. And when sodium alginate comes in contact with calcium, it creates a thin gel. So this liquid here has calcium in it, so when I pump little spheres out of the Spherificator into this liquid, creates a nice little gel, and you make little caviar out of whatever flavor the liquid is. So then when you put those into hors d'oeuvres, desserts, salad, or even cocktails, when you pop them, you'll get a burst of that flavor.
Yeah, it's a really popular technique and a lot of people love it. And at the same time, the biggest feedback that we get is, I wish I can do this faster. Yes. and do more of them. How do I do that? So, and up until this point, I think we have solutions, but we're really excited to see whether this particular tool is going to help us get to that next level.
Yeah.
So when we have the Spherificator here, what are the different parts in the Spherificator?
So the Spherificator is very simple. It comes with this. It also comes with the cord. This doesn't have any battery component to it, so you will have to have it plugged in when you're using it. Very simply, the bottom will pop off, and when you do that, there's a little nozzle here, and it comes with two, which you can see right here. And they're just slightly different in size, depending on the size of sphere that you want. To me, honestly, they're not that noticeable. So whatever works best with your recipe is what you want to use. And it's very easy to take out in the middle of the process too, which is really nice. It's not going to make a big mess.
Okay.
And then I will be able to take this off and pour in some liquid. And this here is just a shallot liquid that I made. I took some shallot, sugar, red wine vinegar. I added the sodium alginate after I got all the flavor out of those shallots, and I pour it in. This chamber will hold about 200 milliliters of whatever flavorful liquid you're using. Also, if for say, you use this a lot, becomes your go-to sphere maker, and it ends up getting gunked up and doesn't work, it comes with a replacement tubing. So you can go in there, it's very easy to take apart. I was able to take it apart in a few minutes. And then the instruction manual tells you how to replace the tubing as well.
Okay, wonderful. And what are we making here today as part of our demo? Let me get my words out.
So
there we go.
I'm going to make some shallot spheres for a recipe that's based off of a recipe in our Alchemist notebook, which will be coming out soon. And the shallot spheres go with some blue cheese, some fig, and fennel crisps. So we have nice little hors d'oeuvres, 1 to 2 bite hors d'oeuvres that you can serve, and you get those really beautiful pink shallot spheres with that savory kind of sweet flavor over this, nice strong blue cheese, and then the fig itself.
Wonderful. And if you do want the recipe for the shallot spheres, that's going to be on the blog. And you can go to the link in the description below to get that recipe and many more. And if you do wonder, what's the Alchemist notebook? So it's kind of like, I would call it a mini series of different little cookbooks that we're working on. So if you want to be the first people to be notified about the Alchemist notebook, go to the blog and link in the description below, and then just sign up for our newsletter, because that's where we're going to release it.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a ton of great recipes for spherification. You can adapt them all to be used with the Spherificator too. And the second recipe we're going to be making is kind of a cool cocktail that you can make on the spot, really impress your guests, your customers, whoever you're serving it to. You can make the spheres directly into the cocktail.
Awesome. So I'm very excited to see the Spherificator in action, because it's, we're doing this live, so we're going to see right away whether it's living up to its promise or not.
All right, so with using the Spherificator, I found out a few things. If you hold it too close, you may get a little bit of stringiness, and you may get some of the pearls don't exactly aren't perfectly circular, which is understandable when they're coming out so fast. Generally with spherification, you'd be making it with a small Caviar syringe, and it's a bit tedious. It's not difficult, it's just tedious. It takes a lot of time. This pumps them out so much faster than I've ever seen anything make spheres. So you're going to end up with some that maybe aren't perfect. If you're making a bunch and you scoop them up in a spoon, you're never going to tell. So it's okay. The thing we want to avoid is that kind of where the spheres are connected by a thin strand of the sodium alginate. So what you want to do is hold them a few inches above the liquid. So I'm just going to give this a stir, and you always want to give it a stir because once those spheres hit the liquid, it's going to pull them in that circle. And I always move this around. Do not tilt this. Hold it completely vertical, and I'm going to pull this off so we get a better view of the spheres. Okay, so I'm going to let it go, and you'll see them start to pump out.
That's
These
really
are relatively
cool.
clear, but the next ones we do in that glass, you'll be able to see that they come out and they will fill the bottom of that glass with some really beautiful cranberry spheres. So right here I've probably made 300 spheres in no time at all. I'm going to give those about 30 seconds to go. And Janie, while we do that,
Okay.
do you think you could use the Spherificator?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. All right.
Very simple.
Does this one already have the liquid in it?
Nope.
Nope.
It's right here for you, so
Ew,
all you have to do
nice.
is pop the top off. And I'm going to give these 30 seconds because I need to let that gel set on the outside. And if you want to, you can just give it a nice stir, and we'll be able to see that beautiful pink color when I take it out and put it onto the hors d'oeuvre itself.
All right.
So yeah,
There we
put it
go.
right on there. And you want to, I like to take that off. Just makes it easier. So we're going to hold it directly vertical over the top.
Okay.
Now with this cocktail, if we hold it too high, it's going to start splashing everywhere, right?
Yes.
So for you, I will stir the cocktail gently just to
Okay.
get that movement going.
And your calcium is in the cocktail.
Yeah, so what I did is I made a calcium simple syrup.
Okay.
So you're not putting calcium in front of the guest into the simple syrup. I put calcium directly into the simple syrup, and then I made the cocktail with that. So this is a calcium lactate, so it's completely flavorless. You won't taste it. You can make that, use that simple syrup for other drinks as well. So
Cool.
Yep.
All
So
right.
hold it directly vertical and move it in a nice circular fashion. Let's go about here.
Okay.
2 inches above. Yeah, it keeps bringing them around. Keep moving it fast. There we go. Great. All right, let's stop.
So as you can see, it does take a little bit of practice. This is my first time using the Spherificator,
Yes.
but if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Great. So while we do that, you can see those spheres sitting beautifully in the bottom of that glass. With this, I'm going to take out these nice spheres. If I can get some beautifully. Some of them are stuck together, which that happens to be a little issue with the Spherificator, like we talked about, is that I was moving it fast and I was holding it the correct height, but you do get some of the spheres that like to connect to each other.
I think that just seems to be like the practice of knowing what you're going to make and then
Yes.
just adjusting the distance until you get to that sweet
Yep.
spot, right? Okay.
And try not to splash your calcium everywhere. So good. So I'll make 1 or 2 of these so we can just see it. And what about these spoons, Janie?
So the spoons, so these are kind of our special limited edition copper spoon, spherification spoons. And what I like about these is that they have that beautiful patina. I think we used them with our edible Moscow Mule
Yes,
recipe
absolutely.
a few weeks ago. As Scott is plating, so because we are launching the Spherificator, it's brand new and we're really excited about it, we're offering a limited time promotion on the Spherificator, where this gadget, it retails for $99, but if you do purchase while supplies last, you're going to get this free copper spherification spoon with it, and this is a $12 value. So you're going to get all this, the ingredients to get started, as well as a really beautiful spoon to take your spheres out, because if you ever try to take your spheres out without a spoon like this, it takes a really long time and it
Yes.
gets very frustrating.
Yeah, so anything to speed up the process. And as we can see, you get some beautiful spheres on top of these hors d'oeuvres, and you can make many of them very quickly. Great.
Ooh, look
If
how
we
great
stir
that
this
looks.
up, we can see some beautiful spheres in here. And if you wanted to take a sip of the cocktail, I know it's a bit early in the morning, but maybe it's 5 o'clock wherever some people are watching.
It's true. I
So
think
this is like a Cosmo. I made it. It has vodka. It has the simple syrup in there, and it's watered down just a bit. And then we have the the cranberry spheres. So the cranberry is right in with the spheres. So when you get one of those bursts of cranberry flavor, it really comes through. And also the cranberry has some lime zest in it, but that's strained out, so you get that lime flavor that you would find in a Cosmo.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Right.
So I think a couple of questions that maybe come up when people are thinking about this is right for me. So if I do, let's say I pumped out like 1,000 spheres and I want to store them, what do you recommend?
So I always save a little bit of the flavorful liquid that I made the spheres out of. You don't want to save it with sodium alginate in it. Because then when I take the spheres out of here, I need to put them into something. So I like to put them into just the base liquid and allow them to sit in there, because if they do allow liquid to pass through. And if you just put it into water, it's going to then just turn into a really watered down version of the original liquid you had. There are ways to do it where you put it into a neutral flavored oil, but with direct spherification, which we're doing here, you are going to use them within the next hour or so. You don't want to let them sit, because over time they will eventually solidify. So for that, I would just put them into the flavorful liquid. You can scoop them out and use them immediately.
All right. So, now that we've kind of been playing around with this a little bit, aside from, I think having to play around with that height and making sure you don't get the strands, are there any other, I would say, pros and cons that you notice about the Spherificator?
It really comes down to using the tool and then figuring out how it works for you. For me, I've used it for the last 2 weeks and I've gotten pretty good with it, but even you can see some of the strands stay there, so I don't want to be holding it 6 inches above, because I'm going to make a mess. Maybe it's a different vessel that I put it into, so then we can have that kind of splashing, but you want to be able to have those spheres be separated all the time. But with the amount of spheres that you're making and the amount of time that you're saving, it's absolutely worth it, for me at least.
No, for sure. I think if you want to do any type of, restaurant service, bar service, catering service.
Even at home, though, if you like to have cocktail parties, or you just like kitchen gadgets, this is a super cool kitchen gadget that you can have. You can make something, once or twice a year and really show off how, of an amazing thing spherification is, but then you show off in front of your friends, making them cocktails and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, but last and not least, important question, which I always get asked, how easy is it to clean?
Oh, this is great. So if I wanted to, I can actually clean it right here for you. So I'm going to do it quickly. I'm going to pour out any excess liquid that's in there. I'm going to take some fresh water. I'm going to put it right in. Now, if you have a little scrub, you can do that as well. But I'll show you. I can just put it right into there. And once it runs nice and clear, you know that hose and the tubing is completely clean. And you're good. Once this liquid comes out, give this a nice wipe and do it again, and then you have a nice clean spherificator. You can run some sanitizing liquid through it too at the end. Obviously it needs to be food grade sanitizer, but run some sanitizing liquid through it at the end and then let it air dry.
Okay, and that I think cannot get any simpler in terms of cleaning, which is a huge benefit, right? So, all right, so this is really cool. If you want to get any of these recipes, go to the blog. Links are in the description below to get the Spherificator, get this free spoon for as long as we have them. They are limited edition, so when we run out, they will be gone. And from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And turn that bell on because it notifies you when we drop a new video.
If you like any of today's recipes, go to blog.modernistpantry.com. There you'll find recipes, Ask a Chefs, and tips and tricks, and more.
And if you have a friend who you think would like this video, share it with them.
And to get any of these great ingredients, just go to our website, www.modernistpantry.com.
And until next time, we'll be here in the test kitchen, helping you create memorable and magical experiences.